What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this Anfield Agenda news roundup. The good news is the weekend has officially started. It is Friday evening and you are most welcome along. In this video today, I'm going to be giving you the outcome of the vote in the Premier League over the associated party transactions. We're also going to be giving you some updates from Arne Slot's press conference ahead of the Southampton game. He gave us an update on ALISSON, Diogo JOTA, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and of course Federico Chiesa, and I'm going to bring you that news over the course of the next few minutes. Now, my friends, I will be live tonight at 8:45 with the late night agenda, so we will go through this in far more detail. But until then, you know the score. We'd love you to hit that like button. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and of course, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. So look, I'm going to get straight into it today because there is a lot for us to get through. I'm also going to do a recap, by the way, or a rehash of my predictions. I'm going to put that out tomorrow because obviously some of these injury concerns have affected my preview. So I'm going to rejig that and do a new one tomorrow. There won't be any ad reads or anything on it, but it will be just an updated version of that preview. So Graham Bailey and of course many other people have posted about this today, but the Premier League clubs have approved the changes to the Premier League's Associated Party Transaction Rules, or APT rules. You might remember that Manchester City took a legal case against the Premier League for this, and some of those rules had to be rewritten to become, well, lawful, I guess. It was passed by 16-4. 14 clubs are needed to pass any resolution like that in the Premier League, and it did pass by 16-4. You might be wondering though, who were the 4 clubs that voted against it? Don't you worry, I've got that answer for you right here. So the clubs that did vote against these APT rules were, no surprise, Manchester City, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. It feels as if there is just this little group of clubs that are in this together, isn't it? And are sticking by each other through thick and thin. But thankfully for the rest of the Premier League, it was outvoted. So again, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Newcastle and Manchester City were the clubs that voted against the new rules, but it did pass and they will be written into the Premier League statutes. Right. Arne Slot was speaking today ahead of the game against Southampton, and he gave us some updates on injuries, but he also gave us an insight into Ibrahim Konate and his development since he's come in. This is what the manager had to say. First of all, it's always about the player and how much effort he puts in to stay fit. Then it's technical and performance staff, but if the player doesn't buy in, it's almost impossible to keep him fit. A lot of players until now have done that. Konate didn't play against Ipswich, and there was a reason for that. His pre-season games weren't his best and he came back quite late. We were training for a few weeks and Jarrell had been playing well, so it was a logical decision. At half-time against Ipswich, I decided we needed Ibu. He played really well. He played against Manchester United and he's bought into getting fit, and every meeting we've had with him, he was the one I could see. He wanted to learn and improve, and it is what he did in my opinion. That is why his improvement from pre-season to Ipswich was massive, much like this channel, WFM. So on that you can see this is why Arne Slot has bought into, well, actually it's Ibu, isn't it? Buying into Arne Slot's methods, but Arne Slot has backed Ibu and we can see the results of that on the pitch. He's been absolutely fantastic this season, and in my opinion, himself and Virgil van Dijk are the best centre-back pairing in the Premier League, if not in Europe. Now, speaking about team selection ahead of the game coming up against Southampton, because of course we then have Real Madrid midweek and Manchester City the following weekend, he said it's a bit of everything that goes into team selection. Talking to the players, the medical staff, the performance staff, listen to the technical staff and look at the opponent to see what the best team to select is. Only difference is now you wonder how the South American players have returned. They normally come back with jet lag. That's the only difference after these international breaks. You look at the players and the info from the staff. With that in mind, I wouldn't expect McAllister to start against Southampton, as I mentioned in my first preview earlier on. I think with all the travelling and the fact that he's one yellow card, I should say, away from a suspension, I would rest him up for the Manchester City and Real Madrid games personally. Speaking about Pep Guardiola and of course him renewing his contract to stay at Manchester City for another 2 years, this is what Arne Slot had to say on that. Good news for City and the league, because everybody wants the best managers and players here, and he is definitely one of them, if not the best. Look at what he did for the last few years. 4-time champions in this league. Fair to say he is the best. They've so many quality players. If he made the choice to leave, I wouldn't expect them to be bottom next season. Interesting for us managers facing one of the best managers ever. And also on this, Pep Guardiola did say that if Manchester City were relegated down through the leagues, that he would stay there with them. I'm just going to remind you of one more thing he said that I'm just going to keep hammering home. He also said that he and Manchester City will accept whatever the outcome of these charges are, as they always have done. Both of those statements I don't believe, because one, they absolutely have never accepted any, and two, let's wait and see if they appeal them or not if they're found guilty. I believe that they will, but again, it'll once again show Guardiola up to be a bit of a hypocrite on this one. On the injuries, though, this is what Arne Slot had to say coming into this weekend's game. Who'll be available, who is coming a bit too soon for, and maybe who's still a little bit away. This is what Arne had to say. So on ALISSON, he said, we're careful with everybody when it comes to muscles. He's back in training with a goalkeeping coach and not training with the team, but is expected soon. It is believed that even Real Madrid might come too early for ALISSON, so you probably seen my preview this morning where I had him in goal. That was based off my conversation with David Lynch, where the world believed that ALISSON was going to be available. So as I mentioned, I will be rejigging that preview for tomorrow morning. Speaking on some other stuff around it, he said, let's wait and see where he is in terms of match fitness, getting better and better, but not ready. Then he moves on to Trent and Virgil, which of course, again, two very important players for us. I was expecting different questions. Virgil is all good, as I tried to warn everybody all week. This was just Ronald Koeman sending him back to make sure he got a bit of a breather. They always have to throw in the old medical ground stuff just to make it look like it's legit, but it was just him getting a breather. He went on to say, trained with us today. Trent not training yet, but he is getting there. We expect him back soon. Harvey is with us now, been out for many weeks, but with the team now on the pitch. JOTA is still the same as Federico, who's coming back into the session. Their one exercise today. All expected back in a few weeks, but last part of recovery is always the hardest. Let's wait and see. But Virgil is fine. So again, it seems like we're still kicking the can down the road and waiting to find out exactly when we will get Federico Chiesa, Diogo Jota back. Alisson and Trent a little bit too early this weekend. Again, for Real Madrid, it's going to be touch and go for Trent there as well by the looks of it. So, could be Manchester City by the time we have these guys back. I'm interested to see how Conor Bradley gets on. If he steps up, he will, of course, most likely be playing right back on Saturday. And then if he has to play against Madrid, well, that's going to be a massive game. And on Real Madrid, tonight in the late night agenda, we will be talking about the fact that it looks like Madrid may have admitted defeat in their search for a right back, because the news coming out now is that they're looking elsewhere. But we will cover that in far more detail tonight at 8:45. I won't be live tomorrow on Saturday, that's my day off, but of course we will be back on Sunday for the watch along of the game, match reaction, player ratings video, and everything else you expect on a match day. So my friends, have a wonderful weekend. I hope to see you tonight. There's loads for us to get through on the show, so I will see you at 8:45 for what is going to be another fun installment of the Late Night Agenda. And thank you all for watching. Do appreciate your feedback. Let us know in the comment section. Drop a like if you enjoy it. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.